Hey YouTube, welcome back. Um, Today we continue our series in AWS Serverless fundamentals, and we continue on in Lambda. Today we will talk about Lambda execution environment lifecycle. Um, the AWS Lambda execution environment lifecycle is composed of several phases, each playing a crucial role in functions execution, and understanding these phases helps optimizing performance, handling errors, and managing resources effectively. We start with the first phase. The first one will be, which would be the first one, which will be the init phase. And in the init phase, there are three tasks that will be happen in the init phase. The first one, it will be we start the all extensions, we bootstrap the runtime, and we run the function static code, and we run before checkpoint. But this one for the Lambda snapshot only. And the purpose of the init phase is the init, which is short for initialization phase, is where the execution environment is prepared for the Lambda function. This includes setting up the runtime, initializing function code and its dependencies, and executing any global code outside the handler. The duration of this phase occurs only once per execution environment's lifetime and can impact the cold start duration. Best practice for the init phase is that to minimize cold start times, keep the initialization code and dependencies minimal, because we don't want to make the cold start too long. The second one we want to talk about is the failure during the init phase. So in this one, we would say first, if a failure occurs during this phase, a syntax error, maybe a failure in loading dependencies, Lambda marks the execution environment as failed. It will not be reused, and Lambda will attempt to create a new execution environment for subsequent invocation. You have in the monitoring, errors is in this phase can be captured in logs and should be monitored to ensure smooth deployment and startup of Lambda functions. We have three. We have the restore phase, and this one is for Lambda snapshot only. In this one, after that, we could make a video in what is a Lambda snapshot. What is a Lambda a snapshot? But for your information, AWS Lambda snapshot is a feature designed in to significantly reduce the cold start times of Lambda functions. The cold starts refers to the latency involved in initializing a new execution environment when a Lambda function is invoked for the first time, or after being idle for a period. So the snapshot aims to address this by prioritizing execution environment and quickly restoring them when needed. So let's continue. So we have the restore phase in the Lambda snapshot only. This one. The purpose, Lambda snapshot is a feature designed to reduce the cold start times in the restore phase. AWS Lambda quickly restores a pre-initialized execution environment from the snapshot. The functionality, this phase is specific to Lambda functions that are enabled with a snapshot, where a snapshot of the initialization state is taken and then quickly restored for a new invocation. We have in the fourth thing that we want to talk about here, which is the invoke phase. We finished the init phase. We can just make this this one will be, let's give it numbers, I guess. After that, we go through the invoke phase. In the invoke phase, the purpose, during the invoke phase, AWS Lambda executes the functions handler in response to an event. This where the function's business logic is executed. The execution, the function receives the event and context objects as parameters, processes the event and returns a response. We're gonna talk about the failures during an invoke phase. First, we'll talk about the handling. The failures in this phase, like runtime execution or timeouts, are handled differently based on the invocation type, synchronously or asynchronously. Error handling: for synchronous invocation, errors are returned to the client. For asynchronous invocation, Lambda retries the function a few times, and if it still fails, the event can be sent to did letter queue or SNS topic, depending on the configuration, or maybe you can use the Splunk for that. We have the shutdown phase, which is the last one. Okay. The shutdown phase occurs when the execution environment is being terminated. This can happen due to function inactivity, Lambda service scaling down, or when execution environment reaches its maximum lifetime. We do cleanup, so like this phase is opportunity to perform any necessary cleanup, like closing database connection or finishing logging operations. We have the graceful shutdown, like AWS sends a shutdown event to signal the start of this phase. Extensions and the function itself can use this signal to release resources gracefully. I guess we want to talk about the best practices and the best practices. Sorry. The best practices and considerations. So first, we want to talk about optimize the initialization. Here, we should minimize the initialization time to reduce the cold start. The second thing that we should talk about which is the error handling. Implement a robust error handling, especially for the init and the invoke phase. We have the resource management. So in this one, use the shutdown phase to clean up resources and avoid potential memory leaks or other issues in subsequent invocation. We have monitoring and logging. In this one, regularly monitor and log function executions to detect and debug issues in all phases. By understanding these phases, you can write more efficient, reliable, and maintainable Lambda functions and handle various scenarios, including cold starts, errors, and efficient resource management. So that's it for today's video, and I hope you like my content. If you like my content, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and see you guys in future problem.